Episode 9. If the Sabbath is gone, why is breaking it still called sin? Key text, 1 John 3:4. Sin is the transgression of the law. If the Sabbath was abolished at the cross, then why is breaking it still considered sin according to the New Testament? 1 John 3:4 makes it crystal clear. Sin is the transgression of the law, not the ceremonial law, not man-made laws, the law, God's unchangeable, eternal 10 Commandments. The same law that includes the 4th commandment. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Exodus chapter 28. Now think about it. If the law still defines sin, and the 4th commandment is part of that law, then breaking the Sabbath is still sin. No amount of theology, tradition, or twisting can change that. And here's the trap. Modern Christianity wants to redefine sin to fit culture. They want to keep the 9 commandments they're comfortable with. Don't kill, don't steal, don't commit adultery. But they toss out the 4th because it confronts their Sunday routine. But James 2:10 warns, "For whosoever shall keep the whole law and yet offend in one point, he is guilty of all." That means if you break the Sabbath while claiming to honor the other 9, you're still guilty before God. This isn't about legalism. It's about loyalty. Obedience to the Creator who wrote his law in stone with his own finger. Let's take it further. If the Sabbath was nailed to the cross, then sin, as defined by law-breaking, would have no foundation. In other words, if the law was removed, so was the definition of sin. And if sin is undefined, then there's no need for a savior. That's the dangerous path false doctrine leads to. Remove the law, erase the Sabbath, redefine sin, eliminate judgment, make Christ's death meaningless. That's not gospel, that's lawlessness. But Romans 6:1 says, "Shall we continue in sin, that grace may abound? God forbid." Grace doesn't erase obedience, it empowers it. So here's the raw truth. Every time you break the Sabbath, you sin against the very law that Jesus came to fulfill, not destroy. And if you call yourself a Christian, a follower of Christ, then you must walk as he walked. And Luke 4:16 says Jesus kept the Sabbath as his custom was. Jesus never sinned. That means he never broke the Sabbath. That means he never abolished it. And if you're claiming to walk in his steps while trampling the very command he honored, you're not following Jesus, you're following tradition. Let's be honest. No verse says Jesus abolished the Sabbath. No verse says the apostles replaced it. No verse says sin has changed. And 1 John 3:4 still defines sin as breaking God's law. So the next time your pastor says the Sabbath is gone, ask him, is breaking it still sin? Because if it's not sin, then God changed. But Malachi 3:6 says, "I am the Lord, I change not." And if God hasn't changed, then his law hasn't changed. And if his law hasn't changed, then the Sabbath still stands. You can't be free from sin while clinging to disobedience. You can't claim grace while erasing the standard. And you can't truly follow Jesus while rejecting the day he declared holy. 1 John chapter 2:3-4 says, "And hereby we do know that we know him, if we keep his commandments. He that saith, I know him, and keepeth not his commandments, is a liar, and the truth is not in him." So I ask you, is the Sabbath still sin to break, or are you following a lie?